Hi, I'm Ngozi, and once again, you're welcome to the Zibby Show. It's, like I always say, an absolute honor to have you on the show with us. I'd like to start off by saying a huge thank you to everyone who tuned into last week's episode in which we discussed the alleged Sterling Bank scam of the Niger Delta youth. And an update from that is Sterling Bank has still kept mum on the issue. They've not said anything. They've ignored all my tweets, all my messages, all my emails. And it's a shame because I've still spoken to more victims and they said the bank hasn't created any bank accounts for them and the bank basically has ignored them. So Sterling Bank, thank you very much for showing the world what you really are. And I would say to any wise person out there, this is a bank to boycott. But trust me, we'll still be on this issue. We won't let it go. You cannot swindle people of their hard-earned money and then keep mum on it. Those days have passed, man. Sorry, we're in Nigeria where the young people are going to change the way things work around here. So Sterling Bank, keep up. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about Nigeria. Yes, I've had 4 shows so far. This is the 5th episode. And I understand that some people are like, oh, is everything wrong with Nigeria? I really believe, we talk about the positives, the people that are doing great things and, who are trying to make a difference. I think that's positive. But I decided this show, we're going to give the ordinary Nigerians, like you and I, the most important people who make up Nigeria, we're going to give everyone a chance to air their views. I am so excited. I cannot wait. Okay. So we went out to the streets and we spoke to different people and we, sent out these messages. We've got tweets, we've got emails. I love it. Okay. So, the question we asked people was, what do you think is the best thing you like about Nigeria? And what is that thing you dislike the most? And how can it change? Because I remember when T-Mac was on the show, we talked about, sometimes we criticize and then we don't offer a solution. So right now, we've got people to air their views and try to offer a solution which could potentially be worked on. So I think that's a really good idea. So, right, before I start that, congratulations to Yaya Toure, who was named Africa's best player by CAF. It's an amazing honor, 3rd time in a row, like, you're on fire. And, a few weeks ago as well, he won the BBC Africa's, Best Player in Africa award as well. And also huge congratulations to Mikel Obi of Nigeria and Didier Drogba from Ivory Coast for, being nominated as well. And, back to the BBC Africa's, top player, Victor Moses from Nigeria was also a nominee. And check this out. I sent a tweet to Chelsea and I'm like, I think he regrets selling him now. Or was he loaned? Well, I think it's it tells really well on Chelsea because you've got Didier Drogba, who passed through the club. He's one of those legends you never forget about on, when you talk about Chelsea. And then you've got Mikel Obi, who scored. Yay! It was a few years coming, but it's good so far. And then, of course, you've got Victor Moses, a rising star. So, congratulations to all nominees and the winner. All right, back to the show. We'll step out now and listen to what Zofa had to say about this. Don't go away.
I'm Zofa Elvis Ekwepo, a medical officer in University of Benin Teaching Hospital. What I dislike about Nigerians is that Nigerians are corrupt people. I'm not saying that all Nigerians are corrupt, but Nigerians have this corrupt mindset in them, all Nigerians. So what I dislike specifically about Nigerians is that they are corrupt people. And secondly, what I like about Nigerians are religious people. They love God, but it does not necessarily mean they fear God, but they love God. How can we ameliorate this problem? This cankerworm called corruption. We should change our mindset. The mindset thing is a problem. Everybody wants to get there and eat. This one wants to get to this office to amass wealth for his family and his next generation, and it's quite unfortunate. Then the religious aspect, Nigerians should inculcate the fear of God in them to not necessarily be religious or go to church, but they should inculcate the fear of God in them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jofa, for chatting with us. And I found myself reaching for a dictionary, just trying to understand with the big words. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to being serious. I totally understand what Zofa means. Yes, a lot of Nigerians have a very corrupt mindset. Like, it's not about trying to help, it's not about leading right. It's more like, what can I gain? Everyone wants to gain something, but sometimes when you gain in a manner which is, gotten through criminal acts, I think that is embarrassing. I really think it is. But then a lot of people have no shame, and it's so obvious that they just go out there to see what they can get for themselves. And like he said, for their families and their generations. I mean, come on, I'm not even kidding. But the amount of money I hear people call on the news, I'm terrified. I'm like, does this much money exist? How do you count that much money? And really, that's kind of money that, when you rob it off the innocent people, you just save it for like 5 generations to come, and they don't even need to work. It might be tempting, but at the end of the day, we need to understand that when you're a leader, you're put in a position of authority and responsibility. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't seem to care much about the leadership role. It's all, what can I get? What can I get? What can I get? And, I really like the way Zofa uses his words. It's like he could be a poet. I'm not saying all Nigerians are corrupt, but Nigerians have a corrupt mindset. And then onto the spirituality thing, onto the religion thing. I understand, because when you're leaving your house on Sunday morning, you can just see the amount of people rushing to church. Like, it's like a swarm of bees. People are walking, people are, running, people are, on bikes, people are going, like, everyone is going to church. And then you just think about, if everyone is going to church, why is the society still like this? Why can you not learn that basic love? But, he answered the question because he said they do not have the fear of God. I think that's true, because if you have the fear of God, you might love God. Like, oh, I love God. He takes care of my family. He blesses me. He's put me in this position where I can steal millions. That's loving God, But having the fear of God is, when you're in that position, you do the right thing. When you're in a position to help someone, you do the right thing. When you see someone drop something, you pick it up and hand it over. I think that is having the fear of God. And I totally understand what Zofa is saying. We'll just, I think, I'll read an email I got from a young lady. And one thing I liked most about this show was the responses were so different. Like, everyone liked different things. It was just amazing. Okay. And her name is Adaku Asadike, and she's a professional makeup artist from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. And in her words, what I love most about Nigeria is the food. We have different appetizing delicacies. Also, an average Nigerian is very hardworking and can survive in any part of the world. The level of dishonesty and increased rate of corruption in the nation is what I don't like about Nigeria. Almost nothing works. No steady power supply, bad roads, unemployment. I can go on and on. If our leaders will rule Nigeria without greed or any selfish interest of theirs, Nigeria would be a better place. Whoa. Seems like Adaku had a long list. And let's talk about the Nigerian food. I absolutely love Nigerian food. It's not just because I'm Nigerian, but I mean, a lot of us have friends that are not Nigerian, and you can see how everyone wants to try Nigerian food. I mean, I was in the Calabash restaurant in Coventry sometime maybe last year or 2 years ago, and this white guy, proper Oyibo guy, he comes in and he's like, oh, I'd like to try fufu. And I'm thinking, okay, I know there's something called fufu. I've never tried it. I've probably never even seen it. But how do I say, oh my God, what is fufu to this Oyibo guy? Like, that is embarrassing. And, he was just going on, and it was, I felt really proud as an African and a Nigerian, that he loved the food so much. I mean, I've got friends that are not Nigerian, and when they come into my house, they just rush in and they want to start eating. I've got an Indian friend called Jags. She walks into my house, so she goes to the kitchen, she's like, oh, okra soup, and she starts getting okra soup. And then there's bread, and she takes the bread and she dips it in the okra soup. And I'm frozen. I'm like, Jags, no one ever eats okra soup with bread. And she's like, oh no, I'm Indian, we eat everything with bread. So it makes me happy when I think about how much our culture has expanded. Like, even when you go to Tesco or Asda in some regions, you can actually find gari in the shops, you can find Nigerian palm oil in the shops. It just shows how much influence Nigerian food has on a lot of other Africans and other people who just want to try different things. And yes, Nigerians are very hardworking. We're very resilient. I think that's something that a lot of people talk about, because Nigerians, the average Nigerian would never give up. He would want to keep trying, But sometimes, you could get weighed down by, looking, by what you can see, basically. But I think we've got that fire in us to never give up. I remember one day I was coming back from somewhere and I saw this lady. She was with a lot of shopping bags, leaf was sticking out, so you could tell she was coming from the market. And she had her baby on her back. And I'm not even kidding, it was so hot that day. It could easily have been maybe 40 degrees. And when I saw her, she was determined, she had this look on her face like, I'm going home, I'm going to cook for my family, my child's on my back. And it wasn't even a small child, that child was about 4 or 5. So, I just felt a pang in my heart, and I'm like, that is a mother, and that is a true African woman, a Nigerian woman who would make sure her son comes back from home, from school early, gets back home, and he has a nice hot meal waiting for him. So that was something I really liked. So yes, I can totally understand what Adaku says. I got a message from someone called Alvin in Bayelsa State, and Alvin said, Nigerians, okay, let me just quote direct from what Alvin said. Nigerians are creative, and that is something I understand. I think it was a day before New Year. I went to the market with my cousin. We went to get a carton of fish, croaker, and they said, oh, if you pay 500 we can just get the scales off for you. And I said, okay, that's fine, I'll pay, do it then. And they had this thing, it was like nail stuck on a flat piece of wood, and it took him like maybe, I don't know, it was a very short time to get all the fish done and all the scales were off. And me and my cousin were talking, we're watching from the car, and I'm like, wow, Nigerians are really creative. Like, they can just create anything. Like, that is something you can actually go out and patent. This is my thing for getting rid of fish scales, frozen fish. So I agree with Alvin that Nigerians are very creative. And then he goes on to say, I dislike Nigeria because they are 419ers. First off, Alvin, there are criminals everywhere, but I understand why he specifically used the word 419ers. And it's a shame because I've experienced 419ers. Yeah, when I was starting a business, I needed someone to design a website for me, and I paid a large amount of money. He took the money and off he went, and that is 419, So I can understand that. I'm sure Alvin sounded pain in this email, so maybe he has been a victim. And when asked on a possible solution, he said, first, the country has to fight corruption. So we're back to corruption again. And then he says, create jobs, pass a wicked law on anyone caught doing 419. I wouldn't exactly call it a wicked law. I would call it a just law. Because in that case, if you swindle someone of their hard-earned money, you pay the price. So it wouldn't exactly be wicked. Maybe it just says pass a very strict law that would actually deter people from committing this fraudulent act. So yes, I agree with Alvin. So that's Alvin's view from Bayelsa. Let's take a break now, and when we'll be back, we'll listen to more responses. Don't go away.
Every man gets his own caro, but me own caro na me own caro. Maria, I love you, baby. You don't know. Come on, caro, make you answer me, caro. One give me go, caro. Keep answer me, caro. Yellow baby CC, caro. Jordan Milo, caro. If Milo, caro. Because I'm no cool, caro. When you're my own, what he can't show, caro. Baby girl, I just wanna love you, but the way where you did you, no gonna make me trust you. I don't try plenty time to yarn you, but your attitude no more, man gonna make me bust you. I don't the wish say when I need you, say I feel close my eyes and then I'm with you. You're the mother of my child and I adore you. First things first, my girl, I will respect you. I'll be there for you every day, satisfy you in every way. And no matter what they say, me and you are here to stay.
You're welcome back to the show. Let's take one of our other quick interviews.
My name is Bemiga. I'm from Lagos State. What I like most about Nigeria, I like Nigeria because Nigeria is a land of opportunities. It's a land of a lot of potential. And the warm and inviting people of Nigeria is what I like about Nigeria. What I don't like about Nigeria, I would say, despite the huge potential Nigeria has, we've not been able to harness those potentials. And that's why Nigeria is where it is now. What I think we can do to make this change is for everybody, both the followers and the leaders, to do the right thing, because we all know what the right thing to do is at every point in time.
Thank you very much, Bemiga, for your input. And I agree with him. Nigeria is indeed a land of opportunity, but some people have those opportunities handed to them easier than others do. I mean, Nigeria is probably the only country on earth where you're a hairdresser to the president's wife, and then you get a gift of an oil block, and then you grow to become the biggest the richest black woman in Africa. Or is that in the world? Yeah. Just by being the president's wife's hairdresser. That is an opportunity. But on a more serious note now, some people, they get those opportunities handed to them. And for others, it's a daily struggle. You fight, in your family. You fight against the society you come from. You fight against the government. You fight against, so many factors counting against you. And that's why I've got so much respect for people who make their living from very humble beginnings, that didn't depend on anything from anyone. They had to toil. They had to toil very, very much to get to where they are in life. I think those are the people I respect the most, because they show that they live the Nigerian dream, and those are the people that should inspire us. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be inspired by someone who just had money handed to them and say, you know what, do that. Like, if you could give that amount to one person, how about using it to develop industries and create employment for a zillion more people? So it definitely is a land of opportunity. But, think of it, some people that live in slum neighborhoods, like maybe Bundu Waterside or Jegunle, those really ghetto areas where people are like, nothing good comes from those areas. But you see people, they make, they start to fight against the stereotypes. They start to fight against the society, because, when they're trying to be better, there's still people from those areas that'll be like, oh, so you think you're better than us, yeah? People still have to struggle against their families. Like, in some families, some people be like, oh, you're a girl, sit down, you don't need to go to school. Let your brothers go. Or it's a polygamous family. Maybe the first wife is dead or the second wife is dead, and then the woman in the house is maltreating the other ones and saying, oh, wait, so this one should go to the saddest primary school while my kids go to the poshest ones. So it's a struggle for some people. They struggle against different elements. They fight in their families, they fight in their society, they fight in the government, they're fighting the institutions. It's a crazy world, but it really is the land of opportunity. I believe with determination and focus, anyone can make it. You can be anyone you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. There are no limits. There is no box. So yes, Nigeria is a land of opportunity. I totally agree with Mikey on that. And then, he also spoke about doing the right thing. A lot of us know the right thing. We're not dumb, but just putting those things to practice, we don't want to. For selfish reasons, or for being labeled an outcast, for being different. It's okay. Rise above the challenge and be a better person, and then you'll understand that you're doing something for the world. I really believe there are no limitations. Just try a little. The government also needs to, sort of work on a path that you can encourage young people, that young gifted people from backgrounds that can't really afford this, and help them out with grants and loans for their businesses, for their education. It's an investment that would, come back to benefit a lot of people. It really would. And let's take an email now. I got an email from a young man called Ashraf. He's from Kogi State, where he's a student at FUT Mina. And he says, I like the fact that our technology is advancing daily, though at a slow pace, but it's still better than what it was years ago or with other third world countries. And what I dislike is the fact that the rule of law isn't something Nigerians and the government take serious. You see people being robbed of their rights daily and they don't even know. The solution is the government won't stand for your rights except you show them you know. So I guess individuals should organize seminars or similar events to enlighten the masses about their rights, and also find a way to reduce the time any court case should take in court, because some people get discouraged when they want to sue for an infringement on their rights when they find out that the case might take months or even years in court. Thank you, Ashraf. This is very enlightening, and I can see he's a young man with a lot of passion. Speaking of technology, I think we might be improving. I remember when, the mobile phones first came and everyone was crazy, GSMs. I think, there's been a lot of improvements. With the internet, I don't know if I would call it an improvement, but it's ridiculous that to get quality internet in Nigeria, you need to spend a lot of money. Using the ISP I use, which is quite good, I'm not going to call their name because I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm not, and a lot of people still complain about them. So I guess maybe it's down to location or, some other factors which I've got absolutely no clue about, so I can't comment on. But I pay 7,500 naira to get 5 gig of internet. 7,500 naira is about £30. It's ridiculous because I can pay, £3 a month in addition to my line rental and get unlimited internet, and then I'm getting 5 gig for 7,500 naira. And considering I'm a heavy internet user, you can imagine how much I would spend on internet. Now I'm going to tell you, I've tried all the big companies, like the big 3, or is it the big 4, and they were all crappy as well to me. They couldn't give me anything. In fact, sometimes they wouldn't even connect. So I think we're improving, but it still remains that a lot of people still cannot access these services because they are very expensive. Yes, you see, now we've got online banking in Nigeria, which takes a lot of the stress off individuals, could help to potentially shorten queues. But because a lot of people have no access to the internet in their homes, people still go to the banks when they can carry out these transactions comfortably from their homes. So the internet is, a fundamental thing that needs to be fixed in Nigeria. But yes, it's improving from what it was a few years back, and compared to other third world countries, I haven't really been to any other third world countries, so I can't really comment on that. But I'm sure it's probably he said it, so I'm sure he's got some experience of that. And people are robbed of their rights daily. Truth is, I agree with him, people don't know their rights. Let's switch back to last week's case with Sterling Bank scamming allegedly innocent Niger Delta victims of their hard-earned money, makes you sign an agreement for whatever it is without disclosing the truth to you, then you're entitled to getting some sort of compensation. Anyways, I really think, yes, that's why I also said on last week's episode that we need advocates, people that can educate people and tell them these are your rights, this is what you're entitled to, this should not have been done to you. We need people like that to tell us, because, a lot of us do not actually even know. I remember a while ago I picked up a book and I was reading it. It was a political science book. It was probably a text for people in university. I came across it somewhere and I started reading it, and that was when I realized what the functions of the local government were. I actually had no idea. So I think, people need to be educated, and people need to be taught these things. People need to be taught these things so they know that, okay, you know what, this is right, this was done to me, this is what I can do. And I also agree with the fact that people losing faith in the judicial process. Yes, a lot of people have lost faith in, the rule of law. A lot of people have lost faith in the police force, because that is why you see there's an increase of cases of jungle justice, people mobbing people on the streets, because they feel like, even if this person gets arrested, he or she is going to go free. At the end of the day, no one has the right to take any life, no one has the right to assault anyone. But when the people who are in charge of persecuting criminals and ensuring that they get the justice that they should get, when those people have actually turned into we can't be bothered, we'll just take bribes and we'll do things like that, then the people are angry, and then people decide to take laws into their hands. It's not beneficial to them, it's not beneficial to anyone. It's a sad situation, really, a really sad situation. I'll take another email from a young lady, and her name is Waire Ide, and this is what she says. As a Nigerian, I love how we don't mind our business. We are not the kind of people that would have neighbors and not know them in a way. We are caring and loving. We have the ability to be happy even in the worst situations, always hoping and believing. What I hate about Nigeria is the underdevelopment our leaders have subjected us to. Here we are fighting to get MSCs and leaders are forging theirs. I hate the level of corruption. I ask, if we Nigerians run to foreign countries for holidays, how many foreigners come to Nigeria for holidays? We need that change. Okay, let's address it. She said, I love how we Nigerians don't mind our business. And I totally agree. We are busybodies in Nigeria. And the busybody thing, it's actually, got an advantage because if you don't see your neighbor for a day or two, you wonder, this man goes to work at 7 a.m. every morning. He comes back at 5. Why hasn't he gone out today? Why isn't he back at this time? And you go and, knock at your neighbor's door to see if he's okay. And that is perfectly acceptable in Nigeria. Or you be like, Mama Kere's son comes back from school at 5 o'clock. He's not back. Mama Kere, your pikin never come back from school. That train never come back, and they'll join you to go and look for that child, see why he isn't back from school. So I think, those are the things that show us that we still have that humanity and love in us for our neighbors. Of course, most times this is only possible in lower income neighborhoods or, middle class. Because, if you live in a palace in Maitama and, your neighbor probably doesn't even care if he sees you in 1 year or not anyways. But when you live in like normal neighborhoods where you see a neighbor and you wave, things like that, it's it's acceptable behavior. I've read stories of people dying for years and no one noticed they were dead for years till maybe 5 years later, and the landlord comes by to see what's going on. So things like that, it makes you wonder, like, that can never happen in Nigeria. People's families will always check on them. The neighbors will always check on them. Someone will always check to see if everything's okay. And we have the ability to be happy even in the worst situations, always hoping and believing. I totally agree with that. We're always, we'll find a way to, put that humor in everything and try to laugh about it so we don't die. Because, come on. Imagine if you walked around all Nigeria's problems every day on your head. You would have like a permanent frown on your face. You would look old. And nobody would even want to associate with you. But I understand that and I agree with her. But while we're still happy and smiling, we shouldn't be ignorant that things should not be this way. We should still be able to speak out in whatever way we can when we're not satisfied. Underdevelopment. Yes, Nigeria is underdeveloped. Some areas worse than others. The Niger Delta, where I come from, it's a sad state. It's horrible, if I can use that word, and that's for another day. And she also says, here we are fighting to get our MSCs and someone has forged hers. Yeah, I'm sure we're all, aware of what's going on with the Minister of Aviation. Well, we're still hoping she says something. I saw a ridiculous news article that said her aide said she would not comment on it. Are you kidding? How do you not comment on it? Your education is being called into question and you say you won't comment on it. That can only happen in Nigeria. Madam Stella, you need to comment on it, okay? If it's true, come out and say it. If it's a lie, come out and say it. And if you did actually forge it, the honorable thing to do would be to resign and go home. And let's move on. We'll take another interview we had and listen to this. Don't go away.
Hi, also, I'm a Nigerian. I'm a lawyer. Okay, my country Nigeria. Yeah, I do love my country Nigeria. I think what I hate most about Nigeria is the politics. Yeah, I know politics everywhere is like everybody says the dirty game. So it's like worldwide it's dirty game. But I think particularly in Nigeria it's proper dirty game. So basically, anyway, everybody's there for their personal benefits, nothing else. The country keeps going down the drain, corruption and the rest, and it's all, to me, it's like a vicious circle. It all goes back to the politics and politicians. I like I think I like our culture the most because it's a bit colorful and it's like, most of all, it's endearing, like it stands the test of time. So I think like in 100 years to come, we'll still have our culture and our cultural values. Yep, that's it.
Thanks, Ozu, for giving us your opinion. And she talks about, the colorful culture of Nigeria. That is one thing that makes me very proud to be Nigerian. Years ago, I think it was in the 90s, there was a military administrator of River State, Colonel Dauda Musakomo. He came up with this idea called River Fest, which was the first carnival-like event that ever held in Nigeria. And it was amazing because at that time there were 24 local governments in River State, and each local government came around with their own culture and their displays. There were boat regattas, there were dances, there were masquerades. It was like one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. It was on for a few years at that time, and it was amazing. And I was only a child then, but I had this great love for my country at that point, which I still have. And that's why I believe, we all need to try our best to make sure we can get that glory back. Yeah, the culture is colorful, it's beautiful, and it's amazing. She talks about the politicians and their dirty game. Yes, worldwide politics is known as a dirty game, but I believe the ones in Nigeria have got to be like the most desperate ones of them all. And it's a shame because it seems to me like right now, a lot of the other African countries look up so much to Nigeria. They're actually following in the footsteps of the Nigerian leaders. Because, countries that had such good things years ago, it seems like it's all falling down. I really don't know what's going on in Africa, but I feel like whether we like it or not, Nigeria remains that giant of Africa that all the other African countries look up to. Black people look up to Nigeria. So I feel like we owe it to the black race to actually do our best for ourselves and for our children. Let's take a short break now and listen to some Afrobeat music. Let's get a feel of what our Nigerian culture is, and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Together, forever, whatever the weather, I never, ever let you go. Caro, make you answer me. Caro, one give me go. Caro, keep answering me. Caro, hello baby, sissy. Caro, Jordan Milo. Caro, if I return me long. Caro, because I'm no cool. Caro, when you're my own, what he can't go. Caro, baby, you're my cutie. To make you happy, that's my duty. No one comes close to your beauty. I like the way you shake your African booty. This is serious and I ain't playing. I want you in my life, that's what I'm saying. I want you for my wife with no delaying. Look into my eyes, girl, I ain't lying. I'll be there for you every day. Satisfy you in every way. And no matter what they say, me and you are here to stay. Together, forever, whatever the weather, I never, ever let you go. Caro, make you answer me. Caro, one give me go.
Hello, hi everybody. My name is Daku. I'm gonna start by saying what I do not like about this country. What I really don't like about this country is the margin between rich and poor. The fact that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. The fact that some people spend freely, yet grow richer, while others are really cautious, yet grow poorer. For example, you see weddings this day, there's a huge margin between the rich wedding and the poor wedding. You see people spending so lavishly, but they don't tend to think about what they're going to eat the next week or how life is going to continue. But others are very cautious. They tend to mice and hold firmly every little dime they have, but yet they're so worried about how they're going to fend for themselves. When you ask them, they tell you, oh, I just had a wedding, so I don't have money for this and I don't have money for that. It's quite sad, actually. It's really something we need to look into, because a little percentage in the right direction would go a long way. I like the fact that once in a while, you tend to meet someone that has a bit of compassion, a bit of humanity still left in them. And it gives hope and shows that things can indeed get better if we just spare a little time and put in a little effort. Well, that's my take on this country, Nigeria, and what I do not like and what I seem to think is a good thing. Thank you very much.
My name is Engineer Daniel. I'm a motivational speaker and also a writer. In answering your question, I'd like to begin from the negative to the positive. One thing I don't like about Nigeria, their growth and development philosophy. Nigeria believes that if there must be development and growth, it must come from the Western world. We do not believe in our local content. We do not believe that what we have is what we can use to get what we want. We believe what we can buy is what we actually need. In as much as we admire and desire what we see in the Western world, we should also know that before it became the way it is, we have gone through process. But we want to change the processes. We want to, we can shred it off and also enjoy the refined products without going through the process. The truth is that until we learn to go through the process, we will not have true development in Nigeria. This is the reason why we don't value our local content.
exalt expatriates. In as much as civilization come into a country by the influx of people into that country, development can only come in that country by the use and harnessing of the resources in that country. The truth is that Nigerians love infrastructures. We like putting things in place. When our government comes in place, they make promises. I will build roads. I will give you water. I will give you light. The usual thing we hear on an everyday manifesto. But the truth is that if only we can keep to what we promise, development of our local content, true development, then will now be seen in the country. But the problem we are always having here is that we value what we can buy from abroad. And over time, we have sold it to generations and generations to come. And it has now almost become natural, normal as our own culture behind, which is not supposed to be. But one thing I like about Nigeria is just one word: morals. Our moral standard in Nigeria has upheld its value. Despite, the holocaust of the reduction of moral values that has affected the world, Nigeria, amongst all African countries, has upheld its values. We have not left the place of what is being sold to us by our fathers. To cite an example, the issue of the same-sex marriage that came to Nigeria as a suggestion was what? Even by our leaders. So the truth is that our morals are still alive. Our values are still alive. One thing I always pray is that God help us to transfer it to the generations to come, so that it will continue replicating itself, because it is one thing that Nigeria has that I will want us to keep and continue keeping. That is the only way I believe Nigeria can go forward. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was first interview was Adaku and the second was Uche. Let's start with Adaku. She talks about the huge margin between the rich and the poor. And I can understand what she means, because it seems like people are not really in the middle. You're either at one end or the other end. There isn't really that middle class sort of. And it's a bit sad that, side by side, you're living like a king, and then next door someone is living like a pauper. It's hard to take. Like in regular countries, you'd find that even people that are billionaires and millionaires would take the tube or, grab a cab to work or ride a bike. But in Nigeria, that would never happen, because, it just wouldn't happen. I feel like a lot of the, big people in Nigeria sort of enjoy being up there so they can stare down at other people. I mean, if you're up there because you've worked hard for everything you have, you should inspire people. But when you're there because, you did some dodgy things, you were a bit of an ass kisser, excuse my language, that there's nothing to be proud of in that. I mean, so basically, I can understand what she talks about. And then it's so hard because everyone is trying to keep up appearances. She talks about, people saying, oh, I just had a wedding and I don't have money right now. I think everyone tries too hard to live up to that illusion, because no one wants to be like, okay, you know what? Let me cut my coat according to my size. Very few people do that. People live beyond their means. And that's why you see people buying things from people. They can't pay you. People are borrowing money and they can't pay. People are taking loans to go buy cars. Like, are you being serious? Who does that? So it's just, everyone is living a false life because everyone is trying to meet up. No one wants to be at that bottom rung of that ladder, because that is where people will do anything. Anything to not get back to. So, yeah, that's the whole fakeness, which is really affecting us today. You go on a lot of blogs and then you see people pasting new cars. Oh, congrats to them. Are you serious? I find that really shallow. If you've got things like that, do it for yourself and stuff it in your pockets, yes? Because at the end of the day, we live in a society that is not exactly the safest. So if you want to go out there and, flaunt what you have, when men of the underworld come knocking at your door, then don't blame anyone, because basically you invited it, you were flaunting yourself too much out there. So, moderation is something that people need to learn, and please basically cut your coat according to your size. There's no use getting married, borrowing money and spending all the money you have on a wedding, and then after the wedding you start living from hand to mouth. That is ridiculous. I would rather have a very normal wedding and then use that money and spend it on myself. Seriously, that is me. That's just why I think, and I'm sure a lot of people out there would understand that you should cut your coat according to your size as well. And then one thing about Adaku's interview that I really liked was what she said once in a while you still meet those people that give you hope and know, there's still a bit of humanity left in us. And that to me is just simply amazing. We might have so many problems, but just knowing that there's still those people that go out there and do good. Man. I think it made me smile. It really made me smile. Let's go on to Uche. Uche talks about, how people wouldn't want to patronize, the locally made goods. And that is perfectly understandable, because I think to a certain extent there is a stigma of, buying stuff made in Nigeria. Maybe some years ago, it was more like buying stuff in Nigeria shows you're not rich and, you're not up there, you don't belong. But I think right now it's moved from that because, I've spoken to a lot of people extensively about this. I think it's moved from, being worried about, social appearances. But I think people are more worried right now in substandard quality. I mean, I use a wireless, mouse for my computers and I get batteries every day. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I don't use it that much that the battery should die every day, but it's obvious they're low quality batteries. They're being sold for the same expensive price, but you can just tell they're cheap imitations and it's not even cool. Maybe if they packaged it as irregular, maybe if they called it, Onyedikachi batteries, I might be tempted to try it. No, would I? Now I'd have to see. Would I be tempted to try if it was called Onyedikachi batteries? Probably not. I'll be honest. I would probably think it might explode. So maybe I would not be willing to try it. I need to be honest about that. But if, I'm going to get Duracell batteries and then they're lasting, about the same time Onyedikachi batteries would last or probably less, then there's a problem. I feel like if people are going to spend money to do things, they should get the value. I also feel like the government needs to encourage these manufacturers because when you hear about things going on in Aba, you see some things and they can actually do these things, but they just make it, a bit dodgy. Like, why not just, do it right and then get that market so we know, okay, you know what, this is proudly made in Nigeria, So I think it's definitely something that needs to be looked into. The thing is, everyone wants that quick route to success. No one wants to go through due process, like he said. They're not even going to sit and take the time to go through proper quality control. It's just like, just put them, we go sell them. It's very, very sad because you see substandard products everywhere in Nigeria. From washing up liquid to batteries to food stuff, it's not the best. And that is a huge problem that, we really hope the government can help us tackle. I got this response from Twitter, which I'll read it out. It's from a user called Wilson Forte. He says what he likes most about Nigerians is the resilient spirits in different times, and he dislikes our apathy for better change. This has been a very interesting episode, and I'll try to wrap it up now. Okay, so I've listened to people list, the things they like and the things they don't like. I've decided I'm going to list 10 things I like and 10 things I don't like. I'll start with things I don't like. 1, I don't like the fact that there's no stable power supply. I don't like the fact that people don't have water. I don't like the fact that quality healthcare is, unaccessible to a lot of people. I don't like the fact that quality education is still a luxury. Like, a lot of people cannot afford good education. Sometimes people pay even a lot of money and they don't get the value of that. I don't like the fact that there are fake goods in the market. I don't like the fact that our government is completely hopeless. I don't like the fact that people do not love and care for the next person. Let's see. I don't like the fact that our telecom operators are, spamming people and ripping us off with expensive charges. And of course, the whole unsolicited text messages, it drives me crazy. I don't like the fact that getting good internet is so expensive. What else? I don't like the fact that people do not have the fear of God. Leading back to what Sophia said. 10 things I like. I like our food. I love our culture. I love the fact that my family lives here. I love, the fact that you can just meet someone on the bus and that you guys can become, friends and chat about anything. Oh gosh, I said 10. I like that you can always get your food fresh. You don't need genetically modified things. You can always go to the market and you can be sure, that cow was killed 5 seconds ago. That leaf just came off the farm an hour ago. So yeah, I really like that. I like that it's a land of opportunity. You can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. There are no limitations. So I'm at 6 now. Let's see. I like that Nigerians have got an amazing personality. You meet a Nigerian somewhere, next you be, oh boy, how far? I really think that is good. I really like our large sense of, humanity. Yeah, I just like that really. So that's 7. So I've got 3 more. Okay. This is annoying. I've got 3 more. I like. Okay. I'll just leave it at 7. I can't think of any right now. It's embarrassing. I can only think of 7 things I really, really like about my country, but I'm sure there's some somewhere in my head. It's just not coming out right now. Okay, I promise I'll give the next 3 next week. So that's it. I love Nigeria. I love that our football team is getting stronger. Yay! I love football. And I love that it unites Nigeria through all the turmoil and everything we go through. Football is something that really, really unites us. So yes, I'm up to 8. Yes. Up to 9. I'm glad that I live in a country where everyone is united. Yes, sometimes some people might make some stupid remarks, about ethnic differences and all, but at the end of the day, we're one Nigeria, and Nigerians, we're staying one. So I really love that unity, that we're diverse, we've got different, languages, different ways of life, but we're still one. So that's number 9. And number 10, I love my country because it's a giant of Africa. It definitely is a giant of Africa. So, yay, I got my 10 reasons. So, it's been really great, having today's show. I'd like to say a huge congratulations to my friend Chimene, who just got engaged to his girlfriend. And also, I'd like to wish my friend Monica Dabrowska a very happy birthday. Let's think about this for 1 second. If Madame Alakija was a bad hairdresser with a bad attitude, I don't think she would have ever gotten that gift from that president that made her one of, the richest people in the world and the richest black woman in the world. It might not have been the ethical thing to do, but it's something we can learn from. Be the best at anything you do. If you're going to be a shoe shiner, be the best shoe shiner. If you're going to be a doctor, be the best doctor. If you're going to be whatever it is you want to be, just make sure you be the best at what you do. Thank you very much, everyone. And to wrap this up, I'll leave you with a quote. A dream is not something that you wake up from, but something that wakes you up. Thank you for tuning in, and I really appreciate that you took out time to listen to this show. Have a wonderful week ahead, and don't forget to take care of yourselves, each other, and spread the love. Bye! Oh, and just in case you thought I sounded funny, yeah, I did sound a bit funny because I've got a cold. Bye.